Hi everyone. In the medical field it is said that prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. And when it comes to domestic abuse, a lack of understanding of the dynamics around intimate terrorism leads to a number of myths that get in the way of effective intervention. So I want to deal with 5 destructive myths around domestic abuse. Myth number 1. Domestic abuse is an anger management problem, that abusers lose it because they just can't control their temper. Well, we know this one's a myth because if it were true, they would lose it with everyone. But they don't lose it with the pastor or their fellow church members or friends or parents. They just lose it with their spouse, which indicates intentionality. For most abusers, anger is a tactic of abuse, not a cause. Myth number 2. Anger is a conflict resolution issue. The couples just need counseling. No, they don't. And that's because intimate terrorists are not interested in solving problems. They're interested in power and control. And that's why when victims try to reason with their abusers, it is often an exercise in futility because they operate in 2 different realities. The victim operates in a reality that says that if I say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right person, then I'll get a reasonable response. The abuser operates in a reality that says that you will never be good enough. You will never measure up. And that's because they don't see the marriage as a collaboration between 2 people working towards a common goal. They see it as a competition in which they must win and over which they must maintain control. So couple counseling doesn't work. It actually puts the victim in greater danger of harm should they say anything or do anything in a session that puts the abuser in a bad light. Offering couple counseling to an abuser is akin to offering parenting classes to a child abuser. It completely misses the point. What they need is individual intervention to deal with their issues. Myth number 3. Abusers do so because they're provoked. Now, while they're often successful in convincing the victim that it's their fault, if you are a victim of abuse, it is not, never has been, never will be your fault. There is nothing that you can do to cause abuse. It is always the fault of the abuser. Myth number 4. Abusive relationships will get better over time. No, they won't. Not without intervention. And that raises the issue of whether abusers can change. And the answer to that is, yes, they can. Absolutely. And we need to believe that, especially if we're going to provide support for them. And remember that if you help a perpetrator, you help a victim. The harsh reality, however, is that the vast majority of intimate terrorists will never change. Not because they can't, but because they choose not to access the help they need in order to change. And we need to factor that into the equation when we are offering pastoral support. Because there comes a point when enough is enough. And as much as we believe in the sanctity of marriage, we must not prioritize the preservation of the institution above the safety of those within it. Where intimate terrorism is taking place, the number 1 priority is the safety of the victims, not the saving of the marriage. Myth number 5. Victims should stay for the sake of the children. Now, this is a difficult one because abusers will often manipulate a situation and make threats around the children in order to coerce the victim into staying. But this is a safeguarding issue. In addition to the physical threat that's caused to the children, causing a child to witness abuse is a form of child abuse. And children who witness abuse are set up for emotional and psychological damage over the long term. So the goal is to, as quickly and as safely as possible, remove them from an abusive environment. So there are 5 destructive myths, but there are many more, which is why we need to educate ourselves. It is said that knowledge is power and that wisdom gives us the capacity to apply knowledge in an effective way. And if we lack wisdom, we know where we can get from an endless supply. And we can educate ourselves by familiarizing ourselves with the church's policy on domestic abuse and our procedures to know what to do when a situation arises. We can do some reading around the topic, check out YouTube videos, check out the helpline organizations at the end of this video. But let's equip ourselves to be a support system for those who need support. And let us be intentional about it. Isaiah says to us, learn to do good, seek justice, and correct oppression. Let's make that our goal, and let's work together to accomplish that. God bless you.